Hey, it's Willie Crawford here, and I am joining you on this fine Monday morning with another Facebook Live. And today's topic that I want to discuss with you is I titled it Being Realistic. Um, you know, uh, we all have goals in life, we all have things we want to do, we all have projects we want to do, we all have dreams, and yet there comes a time when you need to ask yourself, is what I want to do realistic? Is this something I can actually do? And so today I want to look at what you should try to do, what you should expect to do, uh, what you should know that you can do, what and how you should know that what you can do. And I see Joel's joined us from Florida, and Randy Sutton's joined us. We're just getting started again. Today's topic is basically a realistic look at what you can do and what you should try to do. Looking at setting goals in life and then pursuing them, and uh, again being realistic. The advice that we all get to far too often is when you tell someone what you want to do, they say to you, "Come on, man, be realistic. You need to think, and you need to ask yourself, does this really make sense? Is this something I can do?" Hi, Joel. Thanks for joining me. And so I want to look at that. I come from a background where, um, as I hit the 11th grade, my guidance counselor pulled me into the office and said, "Where do you want to go to college next year?" And I said, "College." I said, people from my side of the track don't go to college. We don't even have any money saved up for college. And she explained that there were grants available at the time, and she looked at my grades and said, "You'll probably do fairly well in college." Yet I applied to two colleges, and both colleges accepted me, but also told me that since I didn't have any college prep courses, no chemistry, no physics, no higher level maths, they told me that if I didn't take some college prep, some introductory level courses my first semester or two, I'd probably flunk out of college. So even going to college wasn't a very realistic thing for me to do. Yet I've grown now to the point where, I asked the question, what should you try to do? What should you expect to do? Um, and I mentioned knowing what you can do. And I'm going to be very bold, maybe a little new wavy, and say that you you can do anything that you put your mind to. I've had mentors like the late Jim Straw, who used to say, anything that any human being has ever done, I can do too. He said, if there's anybody who's ever done it, it's possible. They've already proven it's possible. And he said, I can do it too. And he basically said the whole key is to figure out how to do it. And so, I think it's very realistic to know that you can do anything that you really want to do, because nothing, absolutely nothing is impossible. Now, some things are very difficult to do. They are extremely difficult to do. So, if you set your mind up, when I first started college, I wanted to be a doctor. Um, and so I started out as a biology major, and it was biology slash pre-medicine. I took my first chemistry class, and they called it a Weeder course, and probably 70% of people in that class failed. And the instructors sort of enjoyed that. They're like, we want to let the students who this path is meant for get ahead. We want to show to others that you're not cut out to go into the field of biology. And so they had certain courses that they called Weeder courses. They were very difficult courses. And what I learned from that, though, was uh, today I look at all my doctors. I have friends who are doctors, and they are no smarter than I am. I sit around and I throw out medical terms to them, and I often help them to diagnose things. I read enough where I can diagnose certain things just based on symptoms. And so I know that had I not given up on being a doctor, I switched to biology and with a heavy emphasis on economics later when I was getting married in the 11th grade, and I did extremely well with that. But had I stuck with medicine, I would have been a doctor today, and I would have possibly still gone into the Air Force as an aviator and a flight surgeon. So I would have gone in at a higher rank, and who knows where I would be. But I firmly believe that anyone can do anything they put their minds to. Now, uh, you ask, how can I say that? And how can you overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges? Okay. The thing is, there are those who say that you would not even have an idea come to you, a thought come to you about doing something unless it were possible that the universe, God, if you want to prefer that term, that He wouldn't even give you that thought if it weren't possible. Okay, so the fact that you think about doing something means it's possible. Uh, but some things again are very difficult, very, very difficult. So you have to say, I'm going to do this no matter what. Now, once you set your intention, then you ask, okay, how do I get started? Okay. And you do whatever you can to set things in motion. You say, okay, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to start my own business. I want to be an actor. I want to be a copywriter. I want to do whatever. Okay, how do I get started? Uh, and you do whatever you can to get started. So you set things in motion. And I firmly believe, and I've been taught, that you don't have to have everything mapped out. What you have to do, what is important to do, is to get started. And I've been taught, and I firmly believe, because it's proven itself to me, that once you get started, you sort of let go and let the universe work things out. You need two things. You need to know what it is you want to do. So you need to know the what. And you need to have a strong enough reason why, because things are going to be very challenging at times. And if you don't have a strong enough reason why, you'll give up. And I see May Cunningham's joined me, and Dave Mills has joined me. I thank you guys for joining me, and John Davin. Thank you. If you don't have a strong enough reason why, you are going to give up. So let's look at reasons why. Me, having come from an impoverished background, one of my reasons why is I don't want to go back to where I came from. And so there's that fear of going back to where I came from. That's a very strong reason why. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of people saying, we told you you were trying to do too much, to be more than you were cut out to be. Okay? That's very important. I see Sam England's joined us, So you need that very strong reason why. My reason why is I look at poor people, I look at relatives, I look at people suffering from all kinds of diseases. I look at single moms struggling to raise their children, and the children are, if they're not pulled out of that environment, destined to get locked into a cycle of poverty where their kids are probably going to go through the same thing. So my reason why, for a lot of things, like I want to earn a lot of money. I don't need that money myself. I want to be able to give my grandkids and my grandkids more than my kids. I want to be able to give them financial freedom. I don't want them to finish high school and maybe get into college and have to load themselves down with a bunch of debt. So my reason why is I want them to finish college, should they choose to go to college, fairly financially well off, so that they can choose what they want in life. And life is not a struggle. I watch people suffering from all kinds of debilitating diseases like cancer, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure. And I watch a lot of these people, much younger than I am, suffering needlessly. So one of my reasons why, for some of the things I do, is to help to lessen suffering. I know that for most of the debilitating diseases out there, that there are cures out there, whether it's some plant in the Amazon jungle or some chemical or whatever. They're out there. They're out there. I know that. And so my reason why for a lot of things I do is I want to bring those things to the forefront. I want to make people aware of those things. That's a strong reason why for me. So again, I want to earn a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to earn a lot of money. I was raised in a Christian environment where my grandmother and those around me misquoted the Bible. And they'd always say, money is the root of all evil. If you are a Christian and you read your Bible closely, it doesn't say that. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. That means that if money drives you to do the wrong things, unethical things, evil things, that's a driver. But it's money is a powerful tool that I think you should have as much as you can get, because that lets you do things. You need money to help people out, to support causes that you care about, okay? So what you should try to do is anything that you want to do. And again, you're going to have people tell you that you should be reasonable, that you should have realistic expectations. And my answer to that, one that was hammered into me by a friend, Paul Lemberg. Paul has a book called Be Unreasonable, and his full title is Be Unreasonable, The Unconventional Way to Extraordinary Business Results. And my friend Warren Whitlock gave me as a gift the first edition of Paul's book. I read it from cover to cover. I took this hardcover book and I marked it up, and I've probably read it a dozen times. I looked for it and I couldn't find it. I was going to show it to you on this webinar, show you that, or this Facebook Live, to show you I actually have the book. I couldn't find it. My office is very unorganized right now because I'm working out of an office in my home where it's the only room in the house that I insist is my room, so I can do what I want with it, except that my wife still, my dear wife, still insists upon coming through and dusting and vacuuming, and in the process, she moves things around and says your room's too messy and all that. So it's a constant battle of, I have things exactly where I want them. I know where they are. And then I come back in and things are moved around and it's like, what did you do with this? What did you do with that? I put it over there. And so I couldn't find Paul's book this morning, which again is called Be Unreasonable. Now, what Paul says in his book, and what I firmly embraced, was the average person isn't successful. People on the call like Dean Henry, see John Bennett's joined me, Dave Miz, Sam England. I'm sure you guys have all studied what it takes to be successful, and you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that since majority of people in America retire broke, it's like 85% of people are left when they hit 65 or whatever, depending on Social Security, which is not enough to survive on. They have no savings. If they worked a job that offered a pension, it's not enough to survive on. So they're living, paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. So the average person who's giving you advice, telling you to be realistic, to have realistic expectations, so it's not the person to listen to. You want to listen to someone who is financially independent, who isn't struggling, who somehow maybe managed to set some money aside. But what I've also learned from some mentors, one in particular, is you don't actually need a huge nest egg. What you need is something that gives you the income that that nest egg would give you. For example, let's say you managed to save up $10 million and you had it invested at 10% interest. You got $1 million a year coming off before taxes off of your investments. You can have the same lifestyle if you do something now at a later age that provides you with $1 million in income. You still got the same amount of disposable income, pre-tax income. So whether you've saved up and have that nest egg, or you've done something, you're doing something now that gives you the same amount of revenue, it doesn't matter. So it's not too late if you don't have, investments and things like those. And the majority of people don't. So again, you need that burning reason why. Now, Paul, again, keep going back to his book. Paul's book is on Amazon.com. I'm going to give you the link for that. I couldn't find my copy. On Amazon, they have copies ranging from the Kindle version to soft copy to hard copy. And when I looked there, it said there was one hard copy in stock, which I don't pay much attention to. But I know there's lots of Kindles and paperback. I like the hard copy. That's what I have, but I don't treat the book with respect because I've marked it up and I've made notes. But Paul's point is the average person is not successful, and everybody's saying conform, be reasonable, do what everybody else is doing. You need to do just the opposite. You need to be unreasonable. You need to not conform. Your bosses, if you're working for somebody else, I'll have expectations of what you should be doing on the job. If you're the boss, you should expect more out of your people. You should be unreasonable. You should have them thinking, this guy is crazy. He expects me to do 20% more than I'm doing right now. Well, you're capable of doing 20% more. We all live up to our expectations. We've had study after study done that shows when a school teacher expects a certain level of performance out of the students, and they show this to the students through their behavior, through their language, and all those things, the students live up to those expectations. They can sense what the teachers are expecting out of them. So when the teachers expect more out of them, show them they expect more out of them, show them that they know they're capable of more, then they do more. So what is realistic? What is a realistic expectation? What is a realistic goal for you? It's really largely a matter of mindset. So the way I do things, is I set very unreasonable goals, and you don't have to have the steps mapped out of how you're going to do it. Don't worry about the how. Again, you need to know the what. What is it you want to do? And you want to have a good reason why. If you have that reason why, you're going to be thinking about it constantly, okay? And then you do whatever you can do, and then you let go. You can't force it. You cannot force it. What I do, and what many people do, is they turn it over to a power higher than themselves. They turn it, a lot of the problem solving, we turn over to our subconscious mind. And so, you're not constantly thinking, how do I do this? You're saying, okay, I know I need to do this. I know there's a way to do this. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to do this. And then you let go and you turn it over to your subconscious mind. Well, while you're not thinking about it actively, your mind is still working the problem. And I'll often look at a challenge and I'll say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. And then I do whatever I can and I let go. And I'll even go as far as to take a nap. I'll go to sleep thinking about a challenge or a problem. And during the course of the night, the solution often comes to me because my subconscious mind never shuts down. So while I'm sleeping, while you're sleeping, your mind is still working that problem. And often, as you go through your sleep cycles and all those things, the solution comes to you in a dream or whatever. And you wake up and the solution, the obvious solution, is right there staring you in the face. That happens to a lot of us, okay? There's nothing magical about it. It's just your subconscious mind kept working at it. And if you want to get into law of attraction and things like that, you attracted those things out there that helped you to solve that problem, that helped you to find the solution. So it's not that difficult. It seems magical, woo-woo, new age and all those things, but it's not. It's knowing that it can be done and then figuring out how. I mean, you look at what can be done, what has been done. I mean, I went to a college where one of the first things they taught us was that concrete floats, so we built canoes out of concrete that floated, and you look at a modern day ship that weighs, I don't know how many metric tons, but this thing, you can have a ship that has 20 stories below water level and this thing floats. That's a modern miracle. And you think, how in the world can this thing float? Well, it can. Anything that the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You have to figure out how. And the other thing is, a lot of people, when they look at what they want to do, they know that they need certain skills, certain talents to get those things done. And I see this more when people are, like I work with a lot of people who are launching products, who are building websites. So putting together web-based products. And they come to me a lot of times and say, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Okay. When they come to me, the harsh reality is when you don't know how to do something, you have two options. Okay. You only have two options that I can think of. The first one is to learn how to do it. Stop saying I don't know how to do it and learn how to do it. I've owned a web hosting company, so I'm fairly technical, but I can write computer programs in a number of languages. I don't do that for a living. I can do copywriting. I can do graphics, but I don't do that. I outsource it. Uh, but you can learn how to do it. If you spend half an hour to an hour a day going through tutorials on how to do something in a month, you will be better at doing that probably than 90%, 95% of the people on the planet. If you don't understand a topic and you spend half an hour to an hour a day or an hour a week doing it, in 6 months to a year, you're going to be an expert at it. So stop saying, I don't know how to do it. Acknowledge that you have two options there. One is to learn how to do it. And you learn how to do it by practicing it. Today I can whip out a website myself if I don't want to wait on a designer, a developer, programmer, and all those people to set a website up. I can whip a website out myself in under an hour. I mean, I can code in HTML and all that stuff, but I don't do that. I know how to do it because I practiced doing it. I did it over and over and over again. When I decide to learn to do something, I find the tutorials. I set aside time and usually 1 hour blocks, and I do it. And after you've done it a number of times, it becomes like riding a bicycle. You don't have to think about how to do it anymore. And so when people say to me, I don't know how to do that, the harsh reality is you need to learn how to do that, or you need to outsource it. And the problem I see there is most people who have a dream, who have a project they want to bring to fruition, they want to release a product, they want to do something, most of them, they come on the internet and they say, it says people on the internet are telling them all the time, you can do anything you want to do, and you can do it on a bootstrap or a shoestring budget, okay? And I see Max Cantor. Good morning, Max. Randy Sutton's joined me. Welcome, Randy. And I think I've already said hi to Steve Troutman, but I'll say hi again. Thank you for joining me. And a lot of folks who haven't jumped into the chat, I can see have, give me thumbs up or whatever. Hey, if you don't know how to do something, then you need to outsource it. The problem that I see a lot of people running into there is they go, but I don't have any money, okay? And they say, I know, I will offer somebody equity, become my partner. The harsh reality there is the majority of projects that have been offered to me to partner on, the majority of the projects that have been offered to me to partner on had no intrinsic value. And on the majority of the projects that I've been asked to partner on, first of all, the person who had the idea often didn't have any business experience, didn't have experience managing people, managing projects. They weren't trained to manage people, to manage projects, to keep things going. They'd been worker bees all their lives. That type of person generally can't run a business. I mean, they're not trained to run a business. So that's one problem. The other thing is, if you come to somebody like me and you say, hey, Willie, I'll give you 50% of the profits from this project idea I have, I'm going to look at it and say, but you're not making any money from the project, and we don't know it's going to work. So you're basically asking me to drop whatever my priority is right now, take on your project, often something that's all-consuming, with the possibility, the remote possibility of that project being successful, and me, when we cash in or we start making money, then I get a percentage. And it doesn't matter what the percentage is. 100% of nothing is nothing. And so if the project never gets off the ground, if the project's poorly conceived and it's not something the marketplace wants, you could offer me 90% of the profits from that project, and 90% of nothing is nothing. That's a harsh reality. So, yeah, you can say, I want to launch this course. I want to launch this product on whatever. I don't have money for web hosting, for a copywriter, for a graphic artist, for programmers, or somebody to help with customer service. I need all those things. And so I'm going to give 5% to this person, 10% to this person, 20% to that person. And you go to all these people and say, here's my brilliant idea. Come on board and we'll split the profits. My advice to most of those people that you're going to approach is don't do it. Well, I took on a partnership this morning. So I do believe that some partnerships can work, but those partnerships have to be with someone who knows what they're doing, with someone who's actually done the research and proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the market wants, not that the market just wants, but the market's already buying what it is they propose offering to the market. You don't come up with an idea and say, look, nobody else is doing this. Nobody in the whole world is doing this, and the market's ripe for it. Chances are that somebody's already thought of that idea, tried it, and it failed. And that's why nobody's doing it. So when you come up with a new idea, think about that. What you want to do instead is look at something that people are already buying, that the market's already proven it wants and is willing to pay for. And then you take that idea, that concept that's already selling, and you improve upon it. That's the best route to go. Or another route to go is, if you have the money, to buy an existing business. Say this business has already gone through all the struggles of growing, of proving that it's viable, and the business owner wants to sell it, and you figure out how to purchase that business. That's an even better route to go, because then you don't have the trials and the errors. But that's my basic message for today is you can do anything in the world that you want to do, okay? But it's not going to be easy most of the time. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it, People who are in 9-to-5 jobs they absolutely hate would quit those 9-to-5 jobs. Why do people get up in the morning and get dressed and commute to work? Some of them go an hour, 2 hours, one way on a train or whatever, to a job, to work with people that they don't like, to work for a boss they don't like, doing something they don't like. If it were that easy to start a business over the internet, don't you think most of those people, the word would get out eventually, and there'd be enough proof there that most of those people would quit their jobs and go into business for themselves. So the fact that they aren't is proof that it's not as easy as marketers like me. I'm a marketer. It's not as easy as we sometimes make it seem. You see, you can look at me and you can say, well, you're successful. Well, I am successful. I'm in 2 weeks going to be in New York City accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award. That award basically acknowledges that over the past 23 years in business online. Hi, Mary Stout, and Ed Cosgrove's also joined us, and Walter Shue has joined us. And Walter's a good friend who actually visited me here, and we met in Destin and hung out at a restaurant, and I got to meet his lovely wife. And his wife and my wife hit it off quite well. They both like gardening. Where was I going with that? Oh, I'm receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award on the 26th to the 28th at Carnegie Hall, which is right off of Times Square, where you see the ball drop every New Year's and all that. So I'm right in the center of New York City, receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'm on stage with Martha Stewart. Dan Kennedy is being honored with the same award, although Dan is not doing that well right now. He actually was admitted to hospice, I think about 10 days ago, but people that know him quite well and visit with him quite well said he doesn't want anybody to know where he's in hospice at, but his family visits him regularly, and a lot of people have sent him notes, messages, and asked him. And he said to him, you've made a big difference in my life. Get well, Dan. And at one time, his doctor said he might last a day or two, and now, 10 days later, he's improving. So I'm hoping that Dan will be at this event. But if he's not, he'll still be honored, and so will Michael Gerber, author of the E-Myth. And so it's a tremendous honor. There's other things going on in the world of internet marketing that okay, Randy says that Dan has already passed. I didn't hear that, so it's sad news, but it's probable. And if he did, then we'll still honor him, at this event. It's just that he won't be there. He was scheduled to give several presentations, actually, on one was like magnetic marketing, and I have a lot of his materials. So he was one of my mentors. I went to some of his events. I have a library that's full of his materials. I learned from him a lot of things that I do, but and I apply it. I apply it in life. I see Danielle just joined us. That's good. Welcome. We're getting ready to wrap it up. I already gone longer than I had planned on going. I do want to end by encouraging you guys to step outside of your comfort zone, and I want you to do that by actually seeing if you can make it to New York City on the 26th to the 28th. 26th and 27th, there's a bunch of teaching going on. There's speaker after speaker after speaker that's giving sessions, and so it's a lot like a seminar or a boot camp or a workshop where the speakers are showing what's working in their lives, in their businesses. For example, Jerry, who's a co-founder of Ben and Jerry, he'll talk about something, and he has an ice cream social plan for people during the event. But there's a lot of others there who, Martha Stewart, she's going to talk about, how she built a multi-billion-dollar empire, what she did, what worked for her. And, all these people are real success stories. And then there's a lot of other people nominated for awards. I'm not nominated for an award. I've been chosen as a recipient of an honor. That's different. There's 6 different categories where people have been nominated for awards and things like entrepreneurship, being a speaker, being a coach, things like that, being an author. And so out of all these nominees, I don't know how many will be selected in each category, but there's awards given out there. But the reason I want you to try to make it is because this presentation, this Facebook Live, was on stretching yourself out of your comfort zone and saying, this is something I need to do that's going to allow me to achieve something that I didn't think I could achieve. I never imagined being on stage with Martha Stewart, That's, I watch her cooking show all the time. I watch all the things she's doing. I watched her, when I tuned into the news, buying out other cooking shows, buying out companies, buying out lifestyle businesses. And, I watch some of these people who are mostly multimillionaires. I watch a lot of billionaires too. I study a lot of billionaires. That's one of my things, I study people like Warren Buffett, and I learned from him because one of the things Warren teaches is that he only invests in things he understands. So Warren's not in cryptocurrency. Warren goes into the office. He spends most of his day reading newspapers, magazines, things like that. And then he picks investments, but he only drives Berkshire Hathaway to invest in things that he feels he truly understands. And he was at one time, I think, the richest person in the world, maybe the second richest. Right now, he's number 3. Jeff Bezos from Amazon is number 1. Bill Gates is number 2. But Bill Gates is mentored by Warren Buffett, and Warren is number 3. Warren gave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation $35 billion, if I remember correctly. Warren said, I'm good. I'm good at making money. He said, I'm not good at giving it away. So he set the bill. You're good at giving it away. So I'm going to give you money to your foundation to give away. Warren's goal is to die broke. And so he's like, and he's in his 80s. He's like, I don't want the money. I want to give it away and do good, you know. I'm the same way, you know. Why die a billionaire when you could take that money and do good, improve lives with it? I see Sandra Parker's joined me. She's a cousin that I hung out with who recently celebrated a birthday. And I shouldn't be telling women's ages, but it was her 70th birthday. And when I saw the skinny little thing at my family reunion, I thought, she doesn't look a day over 50, maybe in her 40s. But she's older than I am. And actually lived with my grandmother when she was a small child before I was even born. Before I was even born. But such as family, that close family. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do encourage you to join me. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can do that via Facebook Messenger or email or any other way you can reach me. Some of you have my personal phone number. You can call or text me. It's better to text me because I do a lot of recorded calls. And when I do the recorded calls, I'll often turn off my ringer, and it's just not good for my phone to ring a lot of times. I see Wydell's joined me. Wydell is a learner. He's doing a lot of things that I'm involved in too. So it's an honor to have you join me. I am wrapping up at this time. So the recording will be available for you guys to all watch again. My basic message is anything in this world that you put your mind to, you can do, okay? The how is not always obvious, you know, and so you have to at times be such a unreasonable person that people think you're crazy. You say, I'm going to do this. And they go, you can't do that. You know, you're trying to be too uppity. Why don't you fit in, you know? You don't want to fit in. When you fit in, you're going to end up like 85% of Americans, going to retire broke and worry about where you're going to get the next meal from. You know, I watch college students today. I read about them who they have to borrow money to pay for college, and it's very expensive. And a lot of them have part-time jobs, and they are forced to take these payday loans just to eat and to pay the rent. And so they take these payday loans, which have obscene interest rates, and they work a week or 2 weeks, and then they get paid. And when they get paid, all the money they earn in those 2 weeks has to go to make the payment on the payday loan. So they end up turning around and getting another loan, and they live like this. And when they get out of college, they have, you know, these obscene bills, and most of them a lot of them now don't even think about ever paying them off. They are hoping for some type of forgiveness, but they don't even worry about paying them off. A lot of them file bankruptcy before they're 30. It's the norm now. Things that that some of us older folks would never think of doing. To them, it's the norm now. It's the way life is working, you know, out for them. And so, you know, there's a part of me that wants to help those kids to figure out how to break out of that cycle, you know. I think Randy is getting ready to go. I need to go and do some things too. So I asked you to share this Facebook Live. I thank you for joining me, and I do plan on being back tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern to do another one. I haven't come up with my topic yet, but it'll be something relevant. I hope I deliver value into your lives. If not, well, feel free to suggest a topic to me. I've been in business online for 23 years. I've done a lot of things. Lately, I'm getting heavily into buying and selling domain names and also renting domains out to business owners. So all of those are topics I'm fairly comfortable with discussing. Some of them not as much on a Facebook Live because I don't teach other people's materials. And so I've got people teaching me some things that I'll talk about, but I won't teach, okay? With that, I am out of here. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you later. Thank you, May. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Wydell. Thank you, Steve. See you later. Take care.